Welcome to East Coast Believers Church Lake Nona. Thank you for joining us today. We would like to personally invite you to join us on a Sunday morning. We're located at 12253 Lake Nona Gateway Road inside Village Park Elementary. For more information on times and location, please visit our website at www.eastcoastbelievers.org. Today, Pastor Rich continues the exciting series, Battle for Your Mind. Please stay with us all the way through the end of the message for some important announcements. Now, here's Pastor Rich.
This message is in line with our series, Battle for Your Mind, but it's kind of like a little side chick message. It's a little offshoot message. It's just something that, it's not the main trunk of the message, but it's a little branch off the message. And I need to make sure that you hear this today because this is a special word that God put on my heart. It was for me 100%. But at the same time, how many of you know sometimes God will speak something to you and then maybe it's not for everybody, right? Like it's not like, hey, look what the Lord showed me. I'm going to teach you this. He showed me and I want to show you. And then sometimes he's speaking it to you and he's like, hey, you need to tell people that. So some things God tells me, not for the congregation. Some things God tells me are for me and for the congregation. And this happened to be one of those things. And how God works through in me, in my life, is he'll download things. He just shows me things through the word. And he says, you got to explore this. And I go and I hunt through and I explore it. And this, I've had the pleasure to explore this topic in the last couple weeks. And it really does fall right in line with our series. And I want to share it with you because I believe that in this season that we're in right now, and in the season of some of your lives, this word is going to minister to you. The name of this message in our series, The Battle for Your Mind, the name of this message is The Power of the Guarded Heart. The Power of the Guarded Heart. In order to understand where we're going with this, I need you to open up to the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verses 20 through 23. Book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verses 20 through 23. You're going to have to follow closely because we're kind of going to dig a little bit. You guys down to dig and learn a little bit today? How many are just here for the jokes? Okay, thank you. At least you're honest. You can leave. No, I'm just kidding. Please stay. Have Kelly's ice cream. Listen to what the writer of the Proverbs says. Listen to his words carefully. Ready? My son, give attention to my words. Incline your ear to my sayings. Do not let them depart from your eyes. Ready? Key word right here. Keep them in the midst of your heart, for they are life to those who find them. The instruction in here is very clear and very specific. He's telling the reader or the listener, he's telling his son, he's saying, son, pay attention to what I'm telling you. Anybody in here got kids? And you know darn well what you just said was like a bird hitting a window. Your words looked like they had somewhere to go, but they just... And you know it too, because you'd be like, hey, listen. I am. You're clearly not. What did I just say? I know something about the dishes. Yeah, I said do them. I will. You come home 2 hours later, what's not done? You know darn well. I am. That's why he's saying, give attention to my ears. Incline your ears to my sayings. And when you do that, don't let them depart from your eyes. Look, keep them. Keep my words in the midst of your heart. Why? Because what I'm telling you, the words I'm telling you, are life to those who find them. The words I'm telling you are life to those who find them. That's why it's imperative you keep them in your heart. And he goes on and he says this. Keep your heart with all diligence, because out of your heart springs the issues of life. Is anybody in here have issues of life? Absolutely. And he is telling you, keep my words in the midst of your heart. And as a matter of fact, keep your heart with all diligence. Now, what's happening in this verse, which you may not understand, there's some layers hidden beneath this. And if we just look at the English word keep, we're like, yeah, keep. It just means hold on to it. No. Oh, no. That's not what's happening in this verse. There is two words being used here that are translated for one English word, keep. The first word is shamar. So when he says, keep my words in the midst of your heart, that's the Hebrew word shamar. Then he goes on and he says, keep your heart with all diligence. That's the Greek word netzar. Two different words translated into one English word, keep. You know why? Because English is a horrible language. We are the absolute worst. I love hot dogs and my wife. Not the same. We got one word for things. The Eskimos got hundreds of words for snow. You know what word we got? Snow. Worst language. Hebrew, on the other hand, very picturesque language, right? Just like Greek, very picturesque languages, multiple meanings. And in here, now both these words, netzar and shamar, they both have the connotation meaning similar things, but one's more expansive than the other. And this is what I need you to see. Both words that are translated the English word keep, both words mean to preserve, to protect, to guard against anything that could cause harm, decay, loss, or destruction. To maintain something in its original or desired condition. You ever get a new pair of shoes and you look at them shoes, you're like, man, those are like a piece of artwork. Those are beautiful. I never understood that till I got older. When I was a kid, you know what shoes I had? Sneakers. That's it. And you know what, though? You get that first smudge, it's over after that. You know what I mean? It's like, trash. You try and clean them the best you can, but they don't ever come back. You want to keep them. You want to preserve them. You want to maintain them. You want to watch over them, right? You ever watch over something like, I don't have my shoes? Or like you miss a puddle. After a couple weeks, you're walking through those puddles. You don't care no more. That's this word keep. And both of them mean the same thing, but shamar is much more general, but netzar, when he says keep your heart with all diligence, it is laser pointed and specific, and it's so specific it means you guard this thing as if you're guarding something with your entire life. You preserve this thing like you don't ever want to see it damaged ever. Guard your heart. Keep it and keep it. Guard it. Watch over it. Make sure nothing happens to it. You need to protect this thing. You need to guard this thing. Why? Because within this thing flows out of you the issues of your life. And if you've been living on this planet for any length of time, you have issues. And if you don't have issues, the people with you, they give you issues because they got issues. You ever just look at yourself in the mirror and be like, man, you got issues. Some of us know our issues. Some of us are blind to our issues. But most of us know everyone be gotten some issues. If you're married, issues. If you got kids, issues. If you have parents, issues. Does anybody here work with anybody? Issues. If you work at home by yourself, you got issues with you. Pets, issues. Anybody in here got a car and drive it? I'm in the wrong profession, y'all. I should have just stayed a sinner. Anyway, no. Obviously, I'm joking. You know why? I got issues. And you know where they flow from? They flow from the areas of my heart. And so when the writer is writing to his son, he's saying, son, I need you to listen to me. I need you to not only keep my words in front of your face, I need you to keep them in the midst of your heart. And I need you, son, I need you to netzar your heart so much. I need you to guard it with all the diligence you have, because it's from your heart that flow out the issues of your life. I need you to protect, maintain, preserve, watch over, keep it from harm, decay, and loss. Now, this word, shamar, keep, when he said keep them in the midst of your heart, watch over them, preserve them, make sure they stay okay. The first time this word is ever used is where I want us to look right now. And this is going to be the main focus of our time left that we have together, is focusing on this particular person and their particular purpose. If you would, open with me to Genesis chapter 2, verse 15 through 17. And this is, of course, the creation story. And as I'm fond of saying, everything in the world can go back to these first 3 chapters in Genesis. Every problem you have can go back to Genesis. Any solution you have goes back to Genesis. Everything goes back to Genesis 1, 2, and 3. I could put Genesis 1, 2, and 3 in every message I preach until the day I die, because it all goes back to this moment. It all goes back to these first few chapters. But this specific area I want you to see. When God is talking to Adam, God creates the man, puts him in the garden, and then tells him this: keep the garden. Watch. The Lord God took the man, put him in the garden to what? Tend it and keep it. Tend it and keep it. That keep is the Hebrew word shamar, meaning to watch over, preserve, protect, to guard it, to maintain it, to keep it in the condition in which you found it. Keep this place in the desired condition. And the way you do this, Adam, is you work it, tend, and you watch over it. You work it and you observe it. You watch over it. You're diligently careful to oversee this garden I have put you responsible for. This was Adam's purpose. It was his mission. It was his goal. Before God gave him a wife, he gave him a job. Some of the ladies in here would be wise to follow that rule also. If your man doesn't have a job, he shouldn't have a woman. I'll say that again. You know why? A man without a job is a man without a purpose. Oh, I'm not talking about a 9 to 5, because I'm sure this job Adam got wasn't a 9 to 5. It don't have to be a 9 to 5. He don't have to work at Publix, but he better have something to do, or else he will drive you crazy. A man needs a purpose. Do you understand that? You understand a man has to have a purpose? A man without a purpose is depressed. You know how I know that? I've been unemployed, lost my ever-loving mind, was home taking care of my girls, loved it, fun for an hour. I never forget. It was 11:58, and I was doing dishes because I just got done making lunch. Nothing wrong with making lunch for your kids. Should make lunch for your kids. But it was a Tuesday. Tuesday at 11:58, I should be washing my hands, getting ready to take my lunch break. I lost my ever-loving mind. I was like, this is wrong. I can't be doing this no more. I need to get back to work. Not because taking care of my kids is bad. My purpose wasn't to be home taking care of my kids. It was to be out working, doing something. That's what men are built for. And this man had a purpose and a mission. He had a goal. Adam, you watch over this garden. Make sure it's maintained. Shamar it. Keep it. You picking up what I'm laying down? Keep it. Keep it from harm and decay. And it goes on in verse 16. The Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for the day you eat of it, you'll surely die. And of course we know what happens. Later it goes on. Later we see that Eve was tempted by this very tree in the garden to eat of it. 1 Timothy 2:14 says this, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman, being deceived, fell into transgression. They both sinned that day that they ate of the fruit of the garden. Everybody familiar with this story? They both sinned that day. The problem was Eve got tricked into sinning. Adam knew what he was doing. Adam left his heart unguarded, and so did Eve. And by leaving both of their hearts unguarded, they weren't able to protect each other. Watch what happened. Adam's sin was so much more than just eating the fruit of the tree. That's what we all talk about. Oh, Adam and Eve ate the fruit of the tree. They sinned. Yeah, they did. But Adam failed in his purpose, in his mission, and in his goal. He didn't tend the garden. He didn't watch over the garden. He didn't keep the garden. He didn't watch what was going on, and he didn't protect. He didn't keep it from harm, loss, or decay. Watch this. Now, when they ate of the fruit, that's called a sin of commission. You ever heard of that? A sin of commission? When you commit a sin, right? Some of you in here committed some sins on the way to church. It's okay. We know who you are. And you know what? So do you. And you got issues. But so do we all. When we commit a sin, it's called a sin of commission. But then there's another kind of sin. And this is the one I want to look at today. And it's an area that's so easy to overlook. There was a sin of omission. He omitted to do something he didn't do. And what he didn't do was shamar. He didn't keep look. He didn't watch over. He didn't guard. He didn't preserve. He didn't protect. And in doing so, he opened the door for massive amounts of death, destruction, and loss. Eve didn't guard her heart when she listened to the serpent. Adam didn't guard his heart when he listened to Eve. And in doing so, neither one of them could guard each other's heart. They opened the door to something that should have never gotten in there. If they would have guarded each other's heart, they would have looked out for not only themselves, they would have looked out for each other. And in this world today, many people don't look out for anybody. In fact, let's take it away from other people. How many of us are looking out for us? How many of us are shamar? How many of us are keeping guard over our heart? How many of us are watching over the conditions of our heart? How many of us are not just I'm not talking about, when we read that verse, guard your heart with all diligence, so many of us are like, don't look at bad things, don't listen to bad things, don't do bad things and go to bad places. Isn't that what you think when you think of that verse? Don't be watching that show. Oh, don't listen to that music. That's trap music. That's a trap. It's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. What are you omitting? It's not just, what are you keeping yourself from? Oh, I haven't watched this in a while. Good, you shouldn't. Good, you are guarding your heart there. What are the other ways? What are the things you're missing? What are the things we're not looking at? Listen, this is what I got. You got to see this. When you guard your own heart, you're keeping in line with your created purpose. Watch this. Because Adam and Eve left their own hearts unguarded, unsubmitted to God, in turn, they left the heart of the other one unguarded and unprotected. Because out of the heart flows the issues of life. Listen, how many people in here are married? Let's see it high. Don't be ashamed. Your spouse probably not ashamed of you. Maybe they are. I need to say this. I need to get this across to you. Listen, you have to guard your spouse's heart. The only way you can do that properly, though, is to first guard your own. You tend your own garden, and in doing so, you then have the capacity to tend the other person's garden. But if you don't guard your own heart, you are leaving the door wide open, not just for you to be attacked, for the people you care about to be attacked. You're not able to guard their heart because you're not properly first guarding your heart. Their personal failure to guard their heart led to massive pain, massive destruction, and massive loss. The unguarded heart will always lose clarity of purpose. When you don't guard your heart, you lose clarity of your purpose and your goals. When you don't protect your heart, you lose the focus of what you've been doing. Anybody in here ever gotten into a season of life where nothing works? No matter what you say, no matter what you do, it's almost like as married couples, you could say the sky's blue and that person's out there with an umbrella. I don't trust you. No, it's blue, baby. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens within your home. It doesn't matter what happens within your family. Nothing works because something's not being guarded, overseen, watched, or protected. And in those seasons, we can lose clarity of purpose. In those seasons, we can lose clarity of our mission and our goal. And that's what happened with Adam and Eve. They lost purpose. They lost focus. Their unguarded hearts left themselves wide open. The unguarded heart can't protect itself, and the unguarded heart can't protect others. 3, the unguarded heart can't experience the abundant life that Jesus promised us. John 10:10 says this, "The thief does not come except to steal, kill, and to destroy. But I have come that you may have life and life more abundantly." There is too much to lose and an enemy hell-bent on making sure that we lose it all, to not make sure that we are guarding every area of our life. And the unguarded heart will always experience loss, death, destruction in multiple areas of life. By leaving our hearts unguarded, they experience the first part of the verse, but not the second. By leaving their hearts unguarded, they experienced being stolen from, they experienced death, and they experienced destruction. But it's only when we guard our heart that we can experience the abundance that Jesus has for us. Watch this. 2 Corinthians 2:10 through 11. We shared this before, but I need you to see this. "To whom you forgive anything, I also forgive. For if indeed I forgive anything, I have forgiven that one for your sakes in the presence of Christ. At least Satan should come, take advantage of us because we're not ignorant of his devices." Paul's telling this church, listen, I'm just going to forgive the people you guys did forgive because I don't want Satan getting a foothold into my heart right now. I'm not ignorant of how he works. By not offering up to somebody some level of forgiveness somewhere, some way, somehow, we are leaving ourselves wide open. And when we leave ourselves wide open, now everybody we're responsible for is left unguarded and unprotected because the enemy's now got a foothold into your life. And this is just one area. This is one of those sins of omission. How easy is it for us just to be like, you know what? Yeah, I forgive you, but I don't. How easy is it for us just to hold on just to a little grudge? Just a little one. Oh, it's not a big grudge, Lord. It's just my neighbor because he be cutting my grass. He knows that's my property line. I use a number 7 blade. He uses a number 8 blade, and he knows it. Amazon delivery driver, same guy all the time. He knows I don't like my packages over there. It's that little grudge. It's those little judgments. Ooh. The little judgments. Oh, nice shoes, Brenda. We got a name for them kind of heels. High heels. What's wrong with you guys? You guys are messed up. Got issues. That's not appropriate church attire. She don't watch over her kids. That's a pretty fancy car for a pastor. I drive a church truck. Don't worry about me. Anybody? Am I the only person who's ever had this cycle of thoughts go through their brain? I know I'm not. You know why? We got issues of our heart, and when it's left unguarded and unforgiveness is left open, or we just leave those little things. What about this with the spouse? Ready? Why do I always got to tell you where to find your keys? Why can't you just look out for your keys? Why can't you break down a box? Because you know my nails cost. You know I forget where my keys go. Right? Why can't you turn your socks inside out? Why can't you stick to a budget? Listen, I'm being sarcastic, not really, but I'm being sarcastic, but do you see how these little unopened areas? How about this? How about this? Ready? What if we decided I'm going to guard myself first so that I can guard my people second? I'm not talking, this isn't just for married couples. This is for anybody. This is for your coworkers. This is for your kids. This is for anybody in your life, anybody you encounter, all the way to the bank teller, to the Publix worker, anybody. You got to guard yours first so that you can offer a level of protection for somebody else, because if you don't guard yours and you don't leave someone else guarded as well, now you're opening the door for the thief to steal, kill, and to destroy, and you won't experience the second part of the verse, which is the abundant life that Jesus has for us. And what I'm telling you is, what about this? Ladies, look, I know your husband drives you nuts. You know how I know? Because I've been a husband for a long time. I know what we do. Husbands drive you nuts. Ladies, am I wrong? Come on, ladies. That was the weakest nope I ever heard. It's okay. He knows he drives you nuts. Husbands, wives be driving you nuts? Scared. You're all scared. You got issues. Listen, what if instead of the response you typically give, which you know hasn't produced any fruit of life, hasn't produced the abundant life that Jesus promised, what if you just stopped and said, this bothers me and I'm not going to hold on to it. I'm going to pray and ask you, Lord, help my spouse, but first help me. I'm going to pray for them first. Before I tell them anything, I'm going to talk to Jesus about them and for them. Hey, let me ask you a question. This is conviction the Lord gave me. Are you praying for your spouse throughout the day, or your kids throughout the day, or your parents throughout the day, your coworkers throughout the day? Are we bringing them before the Lord first, before we bring words to them second? Because we got to protect the people in our lives by protecting our hearts. And if we protect our hearts, we can protect their hearts. And in doing so, the guarded heart always produces the abundant life Jesus promised us. The unguarded heart always produces what the first part of the verse in John 10:10 says: death, loss, destruction. What happened when Adam didn't guard his heart in the garden? Death, loss, destruction. If Eve would have just said, let me check with my man first before I talk to this snake anymore. Hold on. Adam, what do you think about this piece of fruit? Girl, you know what I told you about that fruit? We ain't eating that fruit. Yeah, but I kind of want to. Now, I know you want to. But God gave me a job. My job's to watch over the garden. You in the garden. The trees in the garden. You can't mess with my job, girl. I love you. And I got to protect you. So I got to say no to you. We ain't going over to that tree. But you know what happened? Eve started talking about the tree because she left her heart unguarded. Then they took a walk over to the tree. Started looking at the fruit. Oh, look at this new house. It's only $300,000 more than our first house. We could cut back on Starbucks and afford it. Look at this fruit, Adam. It's good for food. It's good to make one wise. Adam wasn't afraid of eating the fruit because he didn't want to eat the fruit. Adam was afraid of losing Eve. So he didn't tell Eve no. The fear in his own heart kept his heart unguarded, which kept Eve's heart unguarded. The desires in Eve's heart kept her heart unguarded, which kept Adam's heart unguarded. And then the whole cycle began to swirl. They didn't guard their heart, and the issues of life became the kind of issues that bring death, destruction, and loss. Now, we're not talking about the fall of humanity in our decisions, are we? But we could be talking about the fall of your family, your home, your business, your personal and private mental health, your emotional health. I want to shrink it back down from the garden just to us. And I want to ask you this. The areas of our heart that are unsubmitted to God, those areas of our heart, I talked about it last week, where we have these habitual, emotional, and mental hang-ups. We have these pervasive, perpetual, emotional, and mental struggles in our life. Anybody in here got them? You don't have to admit it. You can pretend like it's just me. Look, I'll raise both hands for all of us. But we all got them. You know why? We all have issues of the heart. We all have things that we've developed in life, these perpetual, habitual, pervasive areas of our heart that do not produce the fruit that we want to. In fact, for some of us, we've come to the place where we've noticed, I have an area I struggle with mentally and emotionally because this is an unguarded area of my heart. It's a habitual response that doesn't produce life. It keeps producing death for me and for the people in my life. Anybody in here identify with that? That's what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about the unguarded heart, I'm talking about those areas. I'm talking about becoming fully aware of those habitual responses. Listen, what I had to learn in the past few years is I have a response to stress. I didn't realize I had a response to stress because it was an unguarded area in my life. When I would feel stress, a series of events would take place in my heart. You're going to fail. You're not prepared. You don't know what you're doing. Oh my goodness, the whole thing's going to fall apart. It's going to be all your fault. What if you do this? Oh my goodness, they're going to fail. They're going to know you're not good at this. What happened? Are you going to lose your job? Am I going to lose my job? All from, hey, you forgot to pick up that package. Hey, this thing's due in 3 hours. Hey, you don't have enough money for this bill. Oh my God! And my response to the stress, I soon realized, was not a guarded heart response. It was an unguarded heart response. I wasn't aware of it, but guess who became aware of it? Anybody in my path. For you, it may not be your stress response. Your stress response might be fine. You might be able to handle stress like an Olympic champion. You might be in here going, I teach Tony Robbins how to deal with stress. You probably taught Billy Graham how to pray too, but no matter what. Maybe you don't deal with it. Maybe that's not a big deal for you. But what about your fear response? What's your response? What is your habitual hang-up? What is your perpetual, pervasive response when fear enters your heart? What's your response? Is it a response that's guarded or is it unguarded? Is it a response that protects you and the people around you, or is it a response that leaves you unprotected? Is this landing with anybody? You guys picking up when I'm laying down? What about this? Ready? I'm getting deep now. What about this? What's your response when you feel rejection? What's your response when you feel rejected? What if it's just a coworker didn't say hi to you in the morning. And for the rest of the afternoon, all you can think about is, they hate me. They're going to tell everybody I'm a mean person. They don't like me. Nobody in this business likes me. Nobody in this office likes me. I should have went to school. I should have went to mortuary school like my cousin Levi said. I should have never thought I could do this job. All because a coworker didn't say hi to you. Does this resonate? You guys see what I'm talking about? And then all of a sudden you go, hey man, you didn't say hi to me this morning. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even realize it. My bad. How you doing, bro? And then all of a sudden the world lightens up and brightens up. And you're like, I am loved. You weren't not loved to begin with, but because your heart was unguarded, because you have a habitual response and struggle, because you have a perpetual and pervasive area of your life that, look, isn't being kept. You're not guarding over it. So when the coworker doesn't say hi, when the spouse tells you about the socks, when another box is left unbroken down in the garage, instead of having a unguarded heart response, what if you're to stop for a minute and just say, Father, this bothers me. But quite frankly, Lord, I don't trust my own heart enough to know if it should bother me. So before I go respond and react, before I go thinking in my own head, I want to bring this to you. I'm submitting this to you, Lord. I don't want the devil to have an area where he can steal, kill, and destroy from me. I want the abundant life you promised me. So, Lord, I guard and protect this area of my life. By faith, I declare in the name of Jesus, I will not leave an open door for the fiery darts of the enemy to inflame me, to get me totally on fire and have me responding in ways which creates death in my life. One more. Ready? Anybody in here on social media ever? Of course you are. Side note, I don't pastor through social media. So if you post something on there about being in the hospital, I may never see it. Don't be mad at me if I didn't come visit you because you posted it on Facebook. I don't use Facebook. Yes, that was directed at people. Pastor! I'm just kidding, it wasn't. But social media. You know what social media does? Oh, man. Social media is essentially a nuclear bomb let off in the hearts of men and women. Social media opens the floodgates of the enemy to steal, kill, and destroy. He's stolen your peace. He's stolen your joy. He's stolen your mental and emotional health. He's stolen relationships. He's killed relationships through social media. Comparison. I can't go on vacation twice a year. Deborah, you only married him for his money. I'm going to tell her I went on a date with him once. Is that a guarded response or an unguarded response? You didn't guard your own heart. Now you go to your spouse. How come we can't go on vacation twice a year? Because you don't stick to a budget. And I got an infection and couldn't work for 3 weeks because you didn't break that box down. Paper cut. Resentment. Projection. Anger. Do you see the cycle I'm talking about? All this can be stemmed from, no, sir. I am going to guard and keep my heart. I am going to keep the words trapped in my heart that lead to life. Keep my words in your heart because they lead to life. Don't keep the enemy's words in your heart. Don't keep the enemy's comparisons, accusations, fear, rejections. Why are we keeping those in here? He's running roughshod in our hearts. You ever heard the phrase, that person's living rent-free in your head? The devil's got apartment complexes in your head like it's Narcosi. Going up faster than you can rent them. Traffic. The devil's got a whole street full of brand new luxury apartment buildings that no one can afford. Because why's rent $3,000? Bitter. In your brain. He's living in there rent-free. You ain't even charging him rent. We got to kick him out. We got to maintain and keep the condition of our heart that God wants us to have, not the condition that it's become. And what I'm telling you is, there is freedom, there is liberty, there is deliverance, and listen, I promise you, there is peace available to you. But if you leave this heart, your heart is just the seat of your thoughts. Your heart is just your emotions. That's what your heart is. When you read about the heart in the Bible, I want you to think, that is my seat of thoughts, that is my seat of emotions. That's where I think, that's where I feel. When your heart is unguarded, where you think and where you feel is unguarded. I'm telling you this because I love you. I'm telling you this because I'm learning it. I'm telling you right now, it is the areas we omit to check. It's the areas we omit. Look, I'm proud of you if you're like, hey, I don't watch that stuff no more, Pastor Rich. Hey, I don't listen to this stuff no more. I don't go to those areas no more. Good. We shouldn't. Right? Listen, you see someone outside smoking a cigarette, be glad they ain't smoking crack no more. Be proud of them. Maybe they overcame something. Maybe the cigarette's just the next thing to fall. That's awesome. Yeah, guard your heart from cigarettes. Don't be doing that. And don't vape either. It looks ridiculous. My point is, those are the surface things. What about the deeper areas? What about the smoke? What about those little incisions? Are you guarding against those? Are you omitting to do something? Because if you are, I'm begging you for your own sake, watch them. Someone says something to you, you don't have to hold on to it. You don't have to hold on to it. Forgive. Listen, forgiveness doesn't mean you let them off the hook. It just means you don't charge them with the crime no more in your heart. You don't have invisible arguments in your head in the shower with nobody. You know why you're laughing? Because you argumentative in the shower with nobody. Brenda catches an earful in the shower. In your head. My red velvet cookies were good, Brenda. No one likes your brownies, Brenda. They nasty. We told you that 2 picnics ago. No, you can't make the potato salad, Brenda. And then you see Brenda, and you don't say none of those things, but you think them, and now your heart's unguarded. And guess what? Now your spouse's heart's unguarded. Now your kid's heart's unguarded. Brenda's heart's unguarded. She don't even know it. She getting assassinated in your brain. Brenda's in the ICU in your brain. Leave that woman alone and guard your heart. I know I'm going on, but this is so strong in my heart. What I'm saying is, you got to ask yourself, what's my response? Is my response an unguarded response, or is it a guarded response? Does my response in my heart and in my mouth and in my actions, does it protect me and does it protect those around me? Does my response lead to experiencing the abundant life of Jesus, or does it lead to loss, death, and destruction? How do we take action on this? Thank you for asking. First and foremost, pay attention, observe, and preserve. That was Adam's purpose. That was our first job as humanity. Tend and keep, work and observe. And when you guard your own heart, your job is to work and to preserve. Work at it, preserve it, keep it. Number 2, learn what areas you need to protect from the fiery arrows of the enemy. Learn what areas you need to protect from the fiery arrows of the enemy. What triggers you? What's your triggers? What do you know is going to trip you up? What words do you know are going to trip your spouse up? They're going to mess them up a little bit, but you know it. So you give them a little behind the back pass every now and again and be like, because you know it's going to give them a little trip up. You know what I'm talking about? You ever trip on your own foot? You don't even know where it came from. You're just like, you know what I'm talking about? You pretend you act like you don't even know how to walk. We do that to the people in our life when we throw a little trigger their way and we know it. If you're doing that, your heart's not guarded. You're not guarding their hearts. You're harming them. And in harming them, you're harming yourself. You're harming you. Listen, what do you want your home to feel like? You know what I want my home to feel like? The smell of hot honey and caramel or something. You know what I'm saying? I want that apple smell. I want that apple cinnamon stink in my house. I want that hot pumpkin cinnamon stink, that fall smell. I want it saturated into the furniture. You know what I'm saying? One of them smells, you just go up to it and you're like, you try to sniff it so deep, you try to blow your nose drums out. I don't know what they are. You know what I'm talking about? One of these smells, ready? Oh my God. That's what I want my home to feel like. I don't want it to feel like the smell of vinegar and Lysol. What's your home feel like? Vinegar? What's your home feel like? Pickle juice? Do you know what I'm talking about? What's it feel like in here? Cold? Mean? Short? No, I want my house to feel warm. I want my house to feel like it's a place I don't ever want to leave, where I want to invite more people to it. I want the people inside of it to feel like they just can live there. They can be there. They want to blow their nose drums out with the stink of the feel of the house. I know I'm getting abstract. I'm trying to paint a picture here for you. If the only way to do that, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, the garden stunk after Adam didn't guard it. It began to stink because now decay was in the garden. Don't let your home stink because you ain't guarding something. What do you want your house to feel like? What do you want your marriage to feel like? What do you want your relationships to feel like? What do you want your work to feel like? What do you want your car to feel like when there ain't nobody in it and you yelling at some guy you ain't ever going to see again? It don't feel good anymore. You know it. That's all comes from the guarded heart. Why? Because from the heart flow the issues of life. I got to wrap it up. I love you. I'm sorry. Protect. Keeping God's word in the midst of your heart and speaking life to those around you. We could speak death or we could speak life. That's it. There's no in between. There's only two things. Like gender, there's only two. There's death or life. That's it. That's it. What's coming out? All right, I got to pray for you. I'm going to pray for you, and then I got two other groups.
We hope you enjoyed this message, and we want to invite you to see us in person. Service starts at 10 a.m. every Sunday at 12253 Lake Nona Gateway Road inside Village Park Elementary School. For more details about times and location, please visit our website at www.eastcoastbelievers.org. If you made a decision for Christ today, we would love to connect with you for some exciting next steps. Please text EC SAVED to 94,000 so we can connect with you and help you with your next exciting steps. Thank you for joining us today, and welcome.